All right, thank you, everybody. This is a special edition of the Global from Asia podcast, also as video. And if you're watching on a video, I'll have the pictures of the quotes of the different people we're talking to for this special edition. As of recording, we have 27 different experts in our community, in our GFAVIP membership, and our expert network that have given us their insights of what they've been happening as cross-border e-commerce, Amazon FBA sellers, traders between China and the rest of the world. So it's going to be a very interesting one. We did this huge survey. We collected all this data last couple of weeks. Been a lot of work. I'm really proud of what our team has done. And I'm just a face that gets to read this. Thank you to those experts that contributed. Let's just go right down the list. First one is PJ Entrepreneur. Thank you, PJ. He's also here in the Philippines. I'm recording today from Manila. He's down at Davao. He runs Global Innovation Incubator. He's a brand expert. Always has been contributing to the community. And he says it's the uncertainty that is the big keyword, the big problem, because we don't know how bad it's going to get. As of recording, I don't even know when to record. I'm trying to record this when we release it, but we're recording right at the end of February. This show will go online in early March, March 4th, I believe, 2020. But it just seems like it's spreading now around the world. I don't think he even got to put that into his quote before it was getting over into the Middle East and Europe. But basically, yeah, he's grateful he escaped Hong Kong and the protests. I saw him sharing on social media with the vandalism happening. And he's just been reducing his trips to Hong Kong and mainland China, as a lot of us are. Let's go to the next person. Our next person is Roland's Petrovics. He's been great. He's come to a lot of our cross-border summits. He's in our community. He's based in Taiwan. He's from Europe, and he is, he's really nervous about the whole year. He felt it out as a big disaster. He has suppliers in Nanjing and also in Shenzhen, and they're just struggling to get things back going. He has 25 purchase orders frozen without unknown delivery dates. He's got his own customers are canceling their purchase orders to him and going otherwhere. They're even willing to pay more money. And he's running out of stock. He's getting a lot of different losses happening. He thinks it's going to be a ripple effect. Actually, now I think since it's been submitted, it's going into other countries. We're talking about Italy lately, Middle East, but that wasn't in the news when he submitted this. But, he thinks it's going to be early April or even summer it's going to go into. Our next is one of the nicest guys I know, Chris Thomas, the Australian seller. Definitely check out his podcast. I've been on his show. He's been on my show. And he says, there's things have been getting better for him. But basically, there's lots of red tape and a lot of things before they can get started again. His suppliers are in Guangzhou, in the south of China. There's government inspectors. He's thinking maybe the earliest, this show has already gone live February 24th, but prior more like mid-March. But there's just a lot of red tape he's dealing with. Brent Deverman, he's a great friend and another internet entrepreneur and content marketer. We had him on the show talking about WeChat. He started Shenzhen Party. He just says it's a really tough situation. He also has a blog post on Shenzhen Party that you can check out at Now Shenzhen. So we have that linked up on the blog post at globalfromasia.com/coronavirus. And he's part number 4. All right, let's move forward. Hope this is interesting. Number 5, Davide Nicolucci. We just did a great webinar. He's also been on a podcast about PPC for the community, and it's great. And he's really been supporting what we do. But he's also having trouble. He says he's a consultant for Amazon sellers, and of course he's getting it's hurting his clients. It's delaying their stock, and big delays with the delivery of services, customer services. He's still waiting for documents from the bank. Everybody is going to be hit with this in the e-commerce industry. It's slowing down production. There's going to be some winners. And he also links to another article by Eric Heller, which we will link in the blog post. Next expert, Rico from Source Find Asia, also the Made in China podcast, another content marketer and amazing person in the community, and of course, he's lucky. We're all mostly lucky. I actually haven't talked to people personally that have had deaths or illnesses in their network, but his team he has an office in Guangzhou where he does his sourcing. I met him here in Manila. I think he's relocating to Manila. I don't know if I want to share too much of his story, but basically he also has a YouTube channel. I link to his thoughts on it, but he has some issues where the office is closed. He still has to pay rent. His workers can't get into office in Guangzhou. 250 shipments in our entire year of last year, and only 2 got flagged. He's getting a lot more shipments getting flagged. A lot more scrutiny for each shipment. Basically, it just seems like it's going to be a big disaster. And then, yeah, he says after Chinese New Year, he's supposed to go back to China. I met him in Manila, and he is still staying optimistic, but it's just going to really screw things up for we don't know how long. Renaud Angera, another amazing content marketer. He does amazing things, and he is from Sofeast Limited, where he does quality control, and he does amazing things there. He sounds a little bit scary. He says, we fear the worst in the cases of factories might have closed forever. The tooling might be lost, such as, the molds and other investments the customers made. And finding another source might take a long time. And then basically he says a lot of his FBA clients, because he does this as a service, are not getting responses, and he's worried that they might not come back and do business at all. And, basically delivery delays, shipment delays, shipping by air is hard, and seaports have reduced capacity. So yeah, he's a little bit scary here. Gautier is a great Belgium seller, e-commerce business owner, internet entrepreneur, and he basically he didn't get his shipment out before Chinese New Year. I think people listening know Chinese New Year is a big deadline for your shipments, so if you don't get it out, you're in trouble. So he, if you miss the deadline, you're like, well, you're stuck for like a few weeks, and then you can ship after Chinese New Year. But now he hasn't gotten it sent out still, because it's still stuck in Guangzhou even as when he submitted this. Chris Young from Heroic Adventures, he says there's lots of travel deals, but of course, I guess, yeah, it's true. You can get cheap flights, or maybe you don't have to fly. But he's not traveling too much right now. He's a travel blogger, so it's two-sided. He says there's many deals, but of course we don't want to risk getting sick. So it's just a really crazy time to be a travel junkie, as Chris is. Another Christopher Moore, close friend of mine, also an internet marketer. He's based in Hong Kong, and he's on lockdown. He's been staying home. He's wearing masks. He's stocking up on toilet paper. He says he's lucky he can work online. I've mostly been working online too, but he does go for his daily walk with a mask, and he's basically working at home. I had to stick myself in here. That's me. I don't know if I like my photo if you're watching the video. But basically, my whole life is torn apart because I left to Manila for business with Alpha Rock Capital, and thinking I could go back to China when I need to. My wife wanted to spend time with her family, but basically what happened is she's, I don't know. I guess I could go back. Do I go back? But we're just feeling really squeezed. As far as Alpha Rock Capital, where I'm a partner, we have 10 brands. We're mostly safe. Of course, there's some of our SKUs are running low, some of our variations. Luckily, we stocked deep. That's one of the strategies we've always done when we buy businesses. So we're a little bit safe for now, but we will be running out of stock on some soon. David Ho, he's from Top Notch Partners, and he also has a swimming business. He's in lockdown in Shenzhen. He's an American-born, mixed blood guy, good friend of mine. And he says basically everything is stopped. Basically, especially in China, he says you have to do these face-to-face meetings a lot. But now it's It's trying to do online, but Chinese are not as yet adapted to doing online, so it's basically being not as effective. Um, he says production has started, but even though production's open, a lot of workers haven't been able to get back to work, basically because they can't move people or goods through the country. And he's also an owner in a swimming business, which is pretty interesting. They do swimming for kids mostly, and for training industry. And basically, that's all basically stopped. There's of course, swimming you're getting to close contact, but he says the winter is slow season anyways. But of course, nothing is working for a swimming business inside China, where you need to, of course, share liquid or water, and potentially spreading anything would be easy there. Um, and he's based in Shenzhen, so he says he's not forbidden to leave his living complex, but there's little to do outside, as most of the shopping complexes and others places he might meet friends are closed or on reduced hours. So he says 2 to 3 trips to the grocery store a week are his highlights of the week. And he's also a owner of a PCB trading business. So it basically says it's just pushing out more delivery dates, slowing down sales. Several trade shows have been postponed. Customers have canceled their visits to China. And basically, I think that covers that. Ralph from Venturi, he's an amazing Amazon seller and consultant and expert on this. He's in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and he's saying basically his suppliers are back to work, which has delayed production by 3 weeks. So seems like we see a trend as production has been starting for most of these people in the end of February 2020. But the warehouse express services are shut down, had trouble sending to certain countries. But he doesn't have issues with his customers being scared to get the virus from the packages. Orders are still fine. But he thinks for the industry, many companies are going to go out of stock, and shipping is a big problem right now. Helena's great. She's back in Europe. She travels between Europe and China quite often. She does consultancy for suppliers at EPI Consulting, and she does corporate social responsibility, circular economy, energy areas. So basically, suppliers are just trying to get back to their basic work and trying to get people back to production. So sustainability, which is where she is, they're not really interested in that kind of work or service right now. So she does think things are stabilizing with the Chinese government, and she says it reminds her of a story in 1972, a Yugoslav smallpox outbreak, which created martial law, and then it's totally eradicated it in 3 months' time. So she thinks what Chinese government has done is good to get rid of this virus as fast as possible, even though some people might not agree with this martial law of locking everybody down. As far as how she thinks this can affect the industry, she thinks the electronic supply chain is going to be working hard to find other solutions, and it's a good chance for factories to get into the supply chain of big corporations. Roland Bernath. Roland is a partner at Sistano with us, if you remember the e-commerce gladiator series, and I reached out to him. He's saying Canton Fair is canceled, and he is in the seasonal decoration business, so he's expecting this to get hit hard for Q4, when he thinks that the containers of March and April should have been arriving and stocked on the shelves. He expects products not to arrive and not being stocked, so he's slowly buying up out of season, meaning Halloween products now, so that he can build up that inventory so that when the season comes, he has it. So he's expecting to get these at sale prices and have enough inventory for the fourth quarter for his seasonal business. And as far as affecting the whole industry, he says that it's affecting mostly manufacturers, And he says a lot of the factories he works with are shut down, and there's no supplies from China, and then of course employees have nothing to do. And he said he even talked to some of his Chinese friends that BMW's not able to ship BMWs with extras. So if you buy a Beamer from the factory, you can't get seat warming for right now. So that's a big letdown for those people buying the Beamers with the seat warming capability. We have one that's anonymous. We did let some people in our community submit it anonymously. He says he doesn't think it's anything special for him. It's affecting everybody. Just all of our factories and shipping is more or less on pause. And he says he got this image from a factory. And you can see the picture in the show notes at globalfromasia.com/coronavirus. But it's basically listing out all these different, showing that they have the hand sanitizer, they have gloves, that they're coming back to work. It's like a sales rep at the factory is trying to convince him that everything is back to normal. Sandra from NatBay, she was on one of our videos. They're a startup in a Mox accelerator program doing Southeast Asia e-commerce, selling like luxury goods. And she says she's getting lots of people on her site searching for masks and hand cream that kills the germs. And basically she's doing more social media for branded masks, like because she does designer fashion clothes at natbay.com. So she's trying to make more like unique designs of these masks for the fashion people to still have their fashion in their air masks. Nate Ginsburg, Sellerplex, all regular speaker and contributor here at the podcast. He's an amazing guy. He's been in Amazon for so many years. So he helps a lot of sellers, and he works with some new sellers, but he's saying that still Chinese factories are not back from the extended Chinese New Year. And he says there's one example of new sellers lacking inventory and waiting for new products, but it of course means a lost sales and delayed product launches. Of course, especially new sellers, new products. If you're out of stock or waiting for the stock to come, you got to delay your launch. And he says a new client they got was delayed for a few weeks because the suppliers are still on break. It's already long enough Chinese New Year. It's just going even longer. Chris Davey, friend of mine, and from FBA for You. He organizes great meetups at the Canton Fair. And he is saying that he says most will return to work the 1st of March. So hopefully when this podcast goes online, most of you guys are getting back in stock. He's running short of certain products that will affect sales in a few months, but he does have a good stock situation, hopefully better than his competitors, but he still thinks he'll be out of stock if it goes until April or May. So he thinks it's going to actually affect, as far as the industry affects, he thinks that they're going to have bad quality at the factories, which makes sense, right? Because the factories are going to have to find new workers. They're going to be over capacity. They're going to be really rushing jobs, trying to get things going, trying to train new workers. Also, the freight costs he thinks will be higher because there's going to be a lack of shipment and a lack of shipments. So there's going to be this huge push to get these shipments out. But he thinks over March it should get better. Bennett Little, he's also a contributor, and on the blog we have Global Gab column. If you're on our newsletter at globalfromasia.com/subscribe, you definitely get a clip of his contributions. Thank you for that, Bennett. He's also in French Canada in Quebec, and he follows us closely. He speaks Chinese. He's been in China and Asia many years, and he's from the doing a lot of consulting with manufacturers. And he says he says it's not affecting him too much because he had all orders shipped prior to Chinese New Year rush, and all the clients have avoided that because getting things up to speed. So it's true. A lot of people haven't been hit as hard because this happened right before during Chinese New Year, so people knew that factories would be slow to get back. So how is it affecting the industry? And he says he read a Reuters report that a small business owners said about 33% can survive for 1 month, and 33% for 2 months, and 18% for 3. So he says he says his chief of virology, sorry, it's hard, a lot of talking today, at the University of Hong Kong said it could be unwise for anybody to be complacent that this virus is coming under control. I guess he thinks that the virus is going to continue to get worse. It seems. Zach Franklin from Amazon Kung Fu, or he's also Panda Leap and amazing Amazon marketer and consultant and just affiliate marketer and community guy, speaker. He says most of the business relies on health of overall e-commerce industry and Chinese Amazon sellers. Chinese sellers have mostly had their customer support working, but other than that, things are shut, basically forced holiday. Businesses are down more than 40%, and sellers won't fully be back up for a while. And he says every non-Chinese national he knows in Shenzhen has left, or they're getting caught in lockdown. And he thinks it's going to be a long time before people even want to come back or will come back. And it'll take a long time for the economy, ecosystem, and the community to recover. And on a personal level, he says when he walked outside in Shenzhen and saw everybody wearing masks, he got his first flight to Thailand, and he's been waiting there since to wait for this to blow over. So he's working on some projects that's been on the back burner for a while and reassessing everything he is doing. He's very thankful for the opportunities that he's able to work online, and he can travel anywhere when he needs to. As far as how it affects the industry, Zach says, coronavirus has been like an atom bomb in the industry, complete disruption, supply chain, logistics, brick and mortar businesses. It basically also exposes just-in-time inventory. He doesn't mention it, but of course, drop shippers. I talked to someone with 6,000 pending orders on AliExpress, and really getting crushed right now with chargebacks on PayPal. So yeah, I mean, that's the weakness of not having your control of your own inventory or doing this, what he calls just-in-time. And he says nobody's optimistic about Chinese manufacturing, and the disease has accomplished what the trade war has not, forcing brands to diversify their manufacturing bases to other countries like Vietnam, Mexico, and the U.S. are the real winners. Interesting. Thank you, Zach. Rose is great. She's very active in our community. If you go to our events, you'll see her there always. And she works as an interpreter and a translator in the community, and also she does her own e-commerce businesses. She's an Amazon herself. I've been trying to get her even on the podcast. She's really great. She says we want to get the orders at the beginning of February, but because she knew the outbreak was coming, but she says they're waiting for it to get better and waiting for the machines to get started again. And as far as what she sees in the industry, people are starting to look really into other factory locations, Thailand, India, just in case things can't get back to normal. Don, I gotta get him on the show. Don, he launched. He's a great crowdfunding expert. He's also done his own Drama Mayhem. I backed him and I put it up. Gave him a little bit of support there. We'd love to get him on the podcast. He's basically saying orders are stuck in China. He's getting fined for late shipping to his B2B accounts. And factories and logistics companies are still closed, can't even get the right information of delivery times. And he says everybody seems freaked out and communication is much slower. Apart from business is just not happening. Yeah. And then Thomas from Landing Cube, he's great. He's been on the show. He's also come to our events. Thank you, Thomas, for sharing. He says that he's noticed a huge drop of traffic in from China. And even though he's based in Vietnam, most of his team, basically he's seeing firsthand the government's lengths in Asia are taken to prevent the spread. Schools are shut down, and a village of 10,000 has been quarantined. I guess he means in Vietnam. Business side of the coronavirus are not likely to end very soon. As far as effects on the industry, he says employees being encouraged to work from home in China. That means factories can't get started, and so many sellers can't get new orders. Florian, an amazing friend, gotten to know over the years from the community and the events. Thanks to your support. I met in Chiang Mai. He's a seller in Germany, Amazon seller, and he just says salespeople are working from home, but basically they're just nothing's happening. Raw materials haven't started, so he's thinking things won't get started till the beginning of March. So hopefully when this podcast goes online, things will be getting back to normal. It's really tough. I try to time this right when it goes online. Keiter Jen, another partner at the Sisitano e-commerce gladiator series, and he has a software team. He's gotten into data analytics for e-commerce platforms and Chinese e-commerce, so he's working with Chinese programmers. And he says that some of the luxury brands have dropped 80% plus in sales. And he says all the clients that he's trying to help get into the Chinese market have put on hold. And he says he's waiting for things to get settled. And he thinks that maybe there's going to be new opportunities for Chinese consumers that might have higher demands for personal care. So let's just try to stay optimistic and find new opportunities. And our last but not least, Daniel. Daniel is another guy in the community. He just recently moved to Hong Kong, and he actually messaged me on WeChat. He's trying to find a job. And unfortunately for him, it's bad time to find a job. He had 2 different offers get canceled due to the virus, and he has been just stuck at home in Hong Kong. So I hope today's has helped you. I hope this has helped you. I hope you get some insights. If you're a seller, if you're in the industry, if you're in trading, you're not alone. Don't take this hard on yourself. This is an industry-wide issue. I'd love to hear what you would have to say. I also, try and make this as open as possible. I also was in a Wall Street Journal. Chris Davey was also mentioned in that article. I'll link it in the show notes. But Wall Street Journal, we got to talk to them, and basically everybody's in this boat. And people are going to, seems like April, maybe even March, April, May, people are start running out of stock. We're going to see what happens. And I feel really responsible as in the space at Global from Asia here. This is what we talk about, is cross-border trade, e-commerce, import, export. So I would love to hear in your comments what you're saying. We can also add to these 27 people and add your insights as a comment or even as a quote in a podcast in the future. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I hope this helped. I wish you the best in this very troubling time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and let's just appreciate what we have, okay? And over and out.